Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. I have something special for you today. I have a new deck by Artisan Tarot. This is the Jean Dodal deck that just came out, at least that I just received, and it's available on their shop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera down and I'm going to do a sort of unboxing and a walkthrough of this deck side by side with my deck from Flornoy, also the Jean Dodal. And they're of similar size, so it'll be a good comparison. So friends, if you're interested in looking at another Tarot de Marseille deck, a historical redrawing of it, stay tuned. Let's take a look together. Welcome back. And to begin with, let me show you this wonderful creation. This is a spread cloth that came with the deck from Artisan Tarot. I purchased it on the Kickstarter campaign, but I think it's still available on their website. So let me show you an insert of the full spread cloth right here. Bang. It's really cute, isn't it? It's a good size. It's cotton, and it's a little bit thin, but I think it will be very usable. I've got it on top of a suede cloth right now, so it's going to be very, very stable for use. So that is the spread cloth, and let me show you the deck. This is the box it came in, and it also came with a couple of goodies, not so many this time. There is the card that they send with their decks, which gives you images of some of the other offerings they have. I believe that this is the upcoming Veville deck. And so we've got the Noblet, the Convert, and the Dodal on this. And this is, again, the Veville, which I think is coming up. I'm really excited about that. I really am excited. I have one other Veville deck right now, but because it's a facsimile or pseudo facsimile, the colors and the shapes are a little bit difficult to read. So this cleaned up version is going to be a good addition, a wonderful reading addition to my stash of Tarot de Marseille decks. Here is the pin that came with it. And you can see the pin. It's a, what do we call it? It's a cloisonné kind of pin, and it matches the image on the box, which is wonderful. This will look great on a lapel. And then we've got two smaller cards that also come with the deck, which give us the information about Artisan Tarot and their QR code for their site, and follow us on Instagram, yeah? Just name card like little cards. There are also similar cards, well, not similar cards, there are information cards inside the deck as well. So this is the box. You can see it's got a nice pattern to it. This pattern is also the back of the decks, like this. It's a tuck box, but it's a very easy to use tuck box. And I'll open it in just a moment. The deck I'm going to be putting it side by side with is, again, my Flornoy. And my Flornoy I purchased with this wonderful leather case. And because this is in a wonderful leather case, this is one of the decks I'm going to be taking on my upcoming vacation. So you can look forward to that. If you are a member of my Tarot de Marseille Facebook group, and if you are interested in practicing Tarot de Marseille, I do have a Facebook group, and I'll put a link to that below. Just answer the questions to join, and I'll let you in and we can play together. But again, this is the deck I'm going to be putting it side by side with this one. And let me pull it out now. Let me show you the backs of this deck because they're very similar, but they're not exact. So this is the Flornoy deck. It's a square deck with very thick cardstock. It's a little bit painful to riffle shuffle, but not horribly painful. Now, if I were to read all day with this deck and riffle shuffle it, my thumbs would probably be very, very sore. But just doing 1 or 2 readings is not a big problem. And it does require being a little bit used to this kind of corner. They're not absolutely squared off corners. They're a little bit rounded, just a hair rounded. And I believe I requested that. And this is the deck from Artisan Tarot. Now let me show you how easy it is to open this tuck box. Let's see, ta-ta. There you go. This tuck box is fairly easy to open. And let me show you the backs of this deck. You can see the size is similar but not exact. There's nothing particularly interesting on the inside of this box, so I'm setting it aside. Okay, so this is what the backs of the Artisan Tarot deck look like. This is what the backs of the Flornoy deck look like. You can see there's a similarity, but they're not exact. Yeah. In this deck, you could tell if it were upright or reversed. Let's see. Let me pull out this. Yeah. So this one, they're both upright. Yeah. You can tell that which one is upright and which one is reversed, right? In this deck is much more difficult to tell if you do read with reversals. Now, just to be entirely forthcoming, I did go through this deck and reorder them because Artisan Tarot sends their decks out in a very unique order. Yeah, they put the major arcana with the Fool on top, and I prefer the Fool in the back. And then they put their minors from 10 down to 1, and then the court cards. And then the next suit from 10 down to 1, and then the court cards. So we'd start from 10 in the wands and go down to the ace of wands, and then start with the page, knight, queen, king of wands, and then move on to the next suit. So because I don't order my decks in that way, I reordered this deck already to match the way I order decks. And so again, these are the backs. And I will flip over this deck so we can see the Magician, Le Batelier. And then I will flip out this basic information card, which says, a faithful restoration based on the tarot created in Lyon by Jean Dodal in 1701. Hand restored and adapted by Christian Condor with guidance from William Rader. We have the website there, and it's first edition 2000 decks. And they are still available on their website, and I will have a link to their website below. So that is just their information card, Jean Dodal. And here we have Le Batelier. Now, size of the cards. Again, I said that this deck is slightly larger. So let me show you the difference between these two. Now, you can see that the Flornoy is just a little bit wider, but much taller than the Artisan Tarot deck. The Artisan Tarot deck, I believe, is a standard tarot size card stock. Let me show you. This is a standard make playing cards deck, now, which is fairly standard tarot size, and you can see that they are exactly the same. The rounding is a little bit different, but the width is the same and the height is the same. So this is a standard Rider-Waite-Smith, make playing cards, US games, tarot size. So the images are very similar. Yeah, Artisan Tarot cleaned up a little bit of the image, right? So you can see the lines around the eyes are a little easier to see that there are lines around the eyes and not, for example, hair coming down or something. Yeah, this makes a little bit more sense. We have also the coloration of the inside of the purse making a little bit more sense, and the top of this, whatever this is coming out of the purse, matching the rest of what it is, right? We all know that when these decks were originally printed, they were printed in black on white. First, the black lines were printed, and then the colors were overlaid. And the person who was doing the colors would not always know what exactly this part was, so they'd color it as they saw fit. Now, they didn't have a standard model for them to look at, apparently, or they were moving quickly. So colors got off. But we noticed both of them had the little red ball, perhaps, in the hand. We got a wand. I like this gray wand here to match the gray of the purse. And it looks gray to me. Other people have called it steel blue. To me, it looks gray. We've got this handle of this basket, perhaps, completed, whereas here it seems to go through his sleeve, which is odd, right? So a lot of this was nicely cleaned up. The flora is the same color. Here we have a flesh-colored flora, and here we have a flora in the gold. So this deck makes a little bit more sense, right? And let me move on to la papesse. Now, we see, instead of papesse, we have princesse, which is from the original, right? Princesse. Princess? No. Papesse? No. It's la princesse. But I love, you can see the crossed over band ribbons on her chest, whereas here we only see one, and then this one beginning, and it's not continued. But we got the book, we've got here we have 1, 2 double crown, but here the crown goes up beyond the border, and here it seems to stop with maybe white lines in the background. So it's a different choice of what the crown shape is from this one to this one. Both, again, are redrawings, right? This is not a facsimile deck. The Flornoy deck is not a facsimile. It's a redrawing as well. But each artist makes a different choice about how they saw the image that they see in the remaining copies that we have in museums. And here is the Empress, right? Imperatrice, very nice. I almost like this one a little bit better. I like the light blue instead of the gray as a background. I like the light blue bib rather than the navy bib around her neck. But, I mean, it's a choice. They're both equally valid choices. Interesting that we've got skin tone, pink skin tone coming through here around the collar, but the face is very white. Here we've got no skin tone coming through around the collar, and the face is a little pinker in the Artisan Tarot deck. But except for these little differences, and they are minor differences to me, they're essentially the same deck. Although there is one thing I just noticed. We got a hand here. We have no hand here. Yeah. Artisan Tarot saw this shape and decided it must have been a hand. Whereas Flornoy saw this shape and decided it must have been some kind of intruding decoration. I don't know. That's an interesting difference of choices, right? Okay, here is l'Empereur. L'Empereur. And you'll notice that the Emperor title, the titles here intrude into the image a little bit in some cases, yeah? The Imperatrice, this title intrudes into the image. L'Empereur, the title intrudes into the image just a bit, whereas here it's all down and separate. We got the 4 floating in front of his head, which is a unique thing for the Dodal deck. This is a type 1, I believe, and I will confirm that as we move through the deck. But from my memory, Dodal is a type 1. And we'll check that, especially with the lovers and the moon. Here is the Le Pape. We got the 2 supplicants. the two tonsures. We've got gloves with crosses on them. We don't have the three-tiered cross here, do we? He's not holding a three-tiered cross. He's holding a scepter with, looks like perhaps a flag, maybe. I don't know. We do have the three-tiered, well, here, 1, 2, 3-tiered papal crown here, whereas here it looks like 1, 2. It's hard to tell if this is actually a third tier or not, because we see the white background. We don't see any white background here. Very interesting. You'll notice that this blue, navy blue, banister maybe, or the top of this wall continues from left to right here. Here the navy blue starts here and then it turns into light blue here. So these could be completely different architectural features. And you'll also notice that this supplicant, they decided that this was a supplicant's hand, and in Flornoy, they decided this wasn't the hand, this is part of the architecture, I guess. Interesting different choices, right? And you'll also notice that the beard of the Hierophant, the Pope, Le Pape, here it matches the same color as the face, whereas here we have a gray beard around the face. And L'Amoureux. Now you can see that this is a type 1 lover card. Yeah? Cupid is blindfolded and kind of all tweaked out, right? One thing that really cracks me up is Cupid's butt in both of these decks. Yeah? Look at this. We've got a leg, and it looks like here's the leg, here's the one part of his butt, other part of his butt. So the body should come up this way, but look, the leg is kind of stuck out of the side of his body. This Cupid's butt is all on the left leg. There's no butt on the right leg, apparently. Or else there's a whole other set of 2 more cheeks, making 4 different cheeks, maybe. Who knows? I do like that they cleaned up the color of the face on the Cupid here, instead of leaving Cupid entirely a blue-headed being, matching the color of the skin and the head. Also, the hair in the Artisan Tarot deck, we can clearly see that these are roses and this is perhaps a laurel wreath, whereas here they changed this to be like a red headband and hair kind of spiked up perhaps, and these, instead of being flowers, are funky 1960s curls. I remember hairdos like this in the 1960s. Just saying. Oh, also, look at the shape behind the Cupid here. Notice that there's all this white space in the Flornoy deck, and they decided to color it in with green in the Artisan Tarot deck, and I prefer this, frankly. Also, the wings make more sense, a little bit more sense on this one compared to this one for the Cupid. Moving on to the Chariot. Okay, so we've got the same drugged out expression on both charioteers. We got the horses, both looking very similar. Yeah. Not much difference in between these two. I mean, there's some slight coloration difference here between the horses. The wheels. This wheel is much clearer, easier to see than it is here to me. We got the charioteer with their scepter. We got the crinoline on the top. We got this, looks like perhaps a curtain coming down here on the side. Maybe it's not a curtain, maybe it's something else. It's more difficult to see what exactly this is, since it starts up here, stops here. What is that? Very interesting. But I like that they kept the light pillars in front and the dark pillars in the back in both decks, adding a little bit more perspective. Here is the Justice card. Beautiful cards, right? Absolutely beautiful. I like the red hilt with the gold knob at the end of the hilt instead of an all gold hilt to the sword. Adds a little bit more interest. Love the chair behind both of them. And I like that we can see through the strings holding up the cups of the scale here. Whereas here, the strings and the background between the strings is all light blue. And I prefer this. This makes more sense to me than this. Also, we can see the top of the string holding the center of the balance here has a fob, yeah? And there's none here in the Flornoy deck. Okay, and the Hermit card. Oh, but look at these hermits. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Very similar, yeah? The coloring on the cape is very similar. The coloring on the beards, I mean, the colors are a little bit different. This is light blue, and this is more of a steel gray, perhaps, or gray. But very, very similar. Yeah, I don't see much design difference choice except for the coloration. I don't see extra things being added or subtracted. Very similar. Okay, moving on to the La Robe de Fortune. Now, Artisan Tarot cleans up the handle of the wheel, whereas this does not. The handle goes in here and kind of reappears at this creature's back. So maybe this handle goes entirely through this poor little creature. Also, the coloration of the perhaps Sphinx-like figure at the top of the wheel is much more cleaned up in the Artisan Tarot deck. Although I'm glad that they did not change this part of the creature heading down, because I like that. I like that it's not completely a rational looking creature. I mean, look at the legs of this perhaps donkey figure. Does that look like a leg of a real donkey? No, it doesn't. These creatures are not real life creatures, right? So having these shapes that meld into the wheel here, meld into the wheel. I like that. I like that surrealist feel to this deck. I would have been sad if all this surrealism had been taken off. And again, case in point, Cupid's butt. Surrealist or perhaps cubist. Yeah, maybe cubist might be the best description. This is a cubist Tarot de Marseille deck to me. Okay, moving on to Force. And we see for Sail Abroad, this stamp is here in both cards, which I like. Love the lions in both. We got the difference between the human's facial skin tone and neck. I like that. I'm glad that was maintained. We got the inside of the mouth being red instead of the lips on the lion being red here. Interesting choice. But beautiful. Beautifully restored. Redrawn cards. Oh, my favorite guy. And I like this one from Artisan Tarot just a little bit better. And I'll show you why. It's this tongue. I love that the tongue is red in the Artisan Tarot deck. I love that. And I also like that we can see that the rope goes around his ankle here. Whereas here, this rope coming down from the top seems to just glob onto the sole of the foot and has no relationship to the rest of the figure, which is interesting. I'm glad that they kept this pink, perhaps it's a codpiece, in between the legs. I love the hands on this hangman, le pendu. Love that. Love the colors of the trees, perhaps, or the logs, or the posts holding up the figure. Now, maybe you just noticed, or maybe you've been waiting for me to say something about this. This is supposed to be number 12, right? XII. So there is debate among some people, not among me. To me, this is the upright for this card. Some people say, no, the card is supposed to be this way. To me, no. No, because this is the way Le Pendu is printed, I believe, in the original card. So rather than the words being printed upside down, it makes much more sense that the numbers were messed up by the person engraving. That's a much easier mistake to be made than this down here, if you ask me. So it's number 12, but here it's an irrational number because no number can look like this in the Roman numeric system. Okay, and you also notice that they added a dot here, which I don't know if it was in the original or not. I'm not sure about that. Okay, here is the unnamed card, card number 13. Lovely, lovely card. Love the red teeth. I love that the head goes up above the borderline here. Love the huge hands here at the bottom, the feet, the bone, the heads. Now, Artisan Tarot decided to color the face here red instead of this blue color. Also, the scythe is a little bit smaller here. Yeah, we see two edges. We see a thick top with a honed side to this scythe, whereas this scythe we don't get that thicker top bar, which some scythes I believe have. Correct me if I'm wrong. Love the coloring on both of these skeletal figures. Wonderful, wonderfully done. Okay, moving on to Temperance. Temperance. Beautiful cards, right? Do you notice anything particular as a difference? One thing that I noticed right off the bat is that this ground is straighter than this ground. There's this little bit of a curve here, which is not here. We've got different colored feet, but coloration differences are not so important to point out unless they actually change the meaning of the figure. They're both feet, clearly. We got the little red dot on the forehead, the wings. We got the breasts emphasized by the design of the bodice. Beautifully done, beautifully done. We got the 4 little squares here in the bottom, along with the 5th, making me think of 4 elements plus the 5th of spirit, just offhand. And Le Diable, beautiful, beautiful card. Lovely. Look at the face here. I love that they kept the red tongue again here, and the red tongue here in the head, and the red tongue in the belly. The red eye, look at these eyes. These eyes make a little bit more sense than these, don't they? Yeah? These really look like an eyelid and an eye. These, the whole thing being red, it's hard to tell. Are they actually eyes or are they just like, I don't know, knee pads? These look much more like eyes to me. And the 2 little imps, love this devil card. Love it. The Artisan Tarot cleaned up the wings here, right? Instead of having the yellow and then the odd choice of dark blue and light blue on the sides, we got that kind of cleaned up, which kind of makes it look more rational. Although, again, I like the somewhat cubist feel to this deck as well. And what is that? Is that genitalia? Is it a codpiece? What do you think? Okay, here we go to the La Maison Dieu. La Maison Dieu, we have 2 figures, one full figure here in front, and one figure looking like they're crawling out of the bottom behind. We got the gray fire or energy rushing up to the sun. Look, this energy goes this way, right? We got the little balls falling down from heaven. All very lovely, very lovely. This face is a little bit easier for me to distinguish than this face. Just saying. I like that we've got water here, though. We don't see that this is water in this deck. It looks like there's like a little pond or a lake behind the tower, which is kind of a nice touch. Okay, moving on to the star, l'étoile. And we got the ibis, or the bird, in the tree. We've got the 2 pots of water, one flowing into the water, one flowing onto land, perhaps. Love that the water flows behind her heel here, right? Love her belly button, too. And the difference of color between the face and the body is Nice that they maintained that, if you ask me. But very nicely done. Beautifully done. Okay, and here we go for La Lune. Both of them front-facing loons from type 1. Front-facing moons from type 1. We got the two dogs, two different colors. We got the crustacean coming up from the water. We've got rocks here below, which is a thing for the Dodal deck. We got the two towers differently colored in the background. Very beautiful cards, right? I like that they put red tongues in the mouths of the canine creatures. Those are nice. And okay, so they cleaned up the line work in the water, which is nice, but having it look a little bit choppier is actually not a bad thing for me. Yeah, this line work actually makes the water look a little bit choppy, a little bit less settled, whereas this water looks much more settled to me. Do you notice the IP here? This is probably the printer's initials, right? Okay, let's move on to the sun, le soleil. Unhappy looking children, but this child probably looks a little happier because we can see both eyes here. This eye looks like it's been kind of mangled, to me. We got the not so happy looking face in the sun, which is interesting. I like that we've got the different colors of ground here, it adds more depth and dimension. Two hands. Very, very nice card. Beautiful card. Beautiful cards. I'd never noticed that before, which I just noticed. This one little ray of sunshine is white here. The rays here are all uniformly colored. I mean, there's the layer of yellow and the layer of red, but there are no blank spots, and there's a blank spot here. And here we are with Judgment, le jugement. Interesting. Like that the red tomb here is distinguished from the background yellow ground color, whereas here the background color is red and there's this white tomb, which is a little interesting, and a little more difficult to see because of this white bit of the hill here, whereas the hill here is all navy blue. We got okay, so this angel's horn looks a little bit like they are performing an act with the horn, whereas this one looks like the mouthpiece is actually against the mouth. Yeah? This horn looks like it has entered the mouth of the angel, to me, and looks a little bit suggestive to me, but that's me, that's not you. Lovely, lovely angels. I like that they turned her face more of a uniform, a matching color with the male here. So instead of being all gold, which is, I don't know. I'm never quite sure what to think of or feel when I see this entirely gold head here, to tell you the truth. Okay, here we go with 21. Again, we have For Sale Abroad here on the side. We got the more androgynous figure in the center. Is it a male figure? Is it a female figure? Is it a non-binary figure? Is it an anthropomorphized? Well, no. Of course it's anthropomorphized. Is it androgynous? An androgynous figure? I like that they colored in the band around where genitalia might be here green, rather than keeping it flesh colored, or the color of the rest of the body's flesh. I like that they colored in the tool in the right hand, whereas this one keeps it white. It's easier to see here. The evangelists, the four winds, the four cardinal signs of the zodiac, the four cherubim, whatever you want to see those four figures in the corners, as. Um, all very easy to see. There are some coloration differences, but they're all very easy to see in this deck. It's easier to tell what they are and where they're looking and where their body is, perhaps. Okay, and we go to Le Folle. Le Folle. Love this Folle card. Now here we've got a blue inner pant leg, perhaps. Maybe an undergarment. Here they decided to go with this darker salmony pink color and then a lighter pink flesh tone. So this is clearly the actual skin of the fool, whereas here that's not clearly the skin. It could be another layer of clothing, right? I was a little bit sad that they decided to finish coloring in the creature here. I like this white bit here. I like that more surrealist look of this creature here. It's not a complete creature. We only have the head, the front paws, and a bit of the torso. But they're both beautiful cards. I like some bits in this one, and I like some bits in this one. I prefer the flesh tone here. But I prefer the cut-off creature here. I prefer the stick being completed here, the walking stick, whereas here the top is not colored in, right? So there are things to both. I like that this bell is colored in, whereas here it's white. There are benefits to both decks, I think, and so I'm glad to have both of them for my use. And here we go. Now we're going into the aces, the small suits. We start with the Ace of Wands. Not much to say here. Both look very similar. Both similarly framed, similarly colored. The Two of Wands. Now you'll notice that the colors of the suits are pretty much the same throughout the deck. It's a very standardized coloration, yeah? This gold, this red, this light blue are the standard colors for the suits. So nice, so nice. The threes, very similarly done. Although I do notice that this is different from this. Just a moment. They could be... Okay, no, they're the same. They're the same. It's just one was... Apparently I had flipped this one around. And here we go with the four. Look at that four. Very similar. Except you'll notice that from here on, there will be spaces here between the wands, whereas here they're colored in between. I'm not going to say any more about that because I've said that often enough in other decks. This is the style that Artisan Tarot prefers, and actually I prefer it too. You'll notice that this is additive numbering. So for 4, instead of IV, we've got the 4 ones. Here we have the 5 of Wands. Beautifully done. And you'll also notice that the wands are not perfectly, they don't perfectly match. Yeah, they're not all this exact same size in either one of these decks, which gives them both that very natural feel, the hand-drawn feel. So here we go. These should be 6, right? 6, VI. But here we have IV in both decks, which is great. I'm glad that they did not fix the numbering in their deck for Artisan Tarot. I like that the numbers are wonky. In addition to the cubist aspects of the deck, I also like the misprints, the misspellings, or the numbers being in odd order. And here we have number 7 is also in odd order, right? It should be VII, but here it's IIV. And the 8 of Swords. Now see, the 8 of Swords in both decks, the 8 of Wands in both decks, the 8s are correct order. Yeah? VIII, IIV, VIII. Someone was really not paying attention, right? And okay, and now we're back to the 9, also an additive 9, but instead of being VIII, it's IIIV for both decks. Who did these? Now, you'll notice that here, these wand ends do not match the actual wands. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It would have been nice if they had left that there, if you'd asked me. Yeah, I like that oddness. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like that. That's wonky. And I like the wonkiness. I wish they would have kept that wonkiness in this Artisan Tarot deck. But again, there are things I like in one more than the other, and things that I like more in the other than the one. So here we go. Number 10. Beautifully done. Magnificent wand suits. Here we go with the Page of Wands. Now you'll notice there's no title for the Page of Wands, right? We do have that it's to be sold abroad, and that was for tax purposes. I don't believe I mentioned this, but for tax purposes, they printed this on the deck so that they know that these are productions for sale abroad, not for domestic sale. And that would have had different tax brackets or tax calculations. Let's see. And here we have the title for Chevalier de Baston, also for sale abroad. Very, very intricately designed knights, right? The armor, the way that the covering on the horse flows in different lines and different sections. They colored in the stirrup here for the knight instead of leaving it white. Good choice, I believe. Love that there's this thing here which is not here in the Flornoy. It looks like a jewel that could be part of the horse's headdress, or it could be part of the knight's clothes, maybe. Difficult to tell which it would be. Chevalier de Baston. Here we have the Queen of Wands, Reine de Baston. Beautiful lady, huh? Beautiful lady. Looking not so happy, perhaps. A little. All of the people in these decks look like they're stoned to me. They're cubist stoned people. A little bit too much weed. But beautiful design to the cards. And the Roi de Baston, looking a little bit more clear-eyed than some of the others in the deck, especially in the Artisan Tarot deck. Here, maybe not so much. Love that the seat is easier to see and understand in the Artisan Tarot deck, whereas here it's a little bit difficult. There's this green bit here, and then there's this navy blue bit here, and are they the same? Are they different? What is this? Also like that they colored in the rest of the point of the spear, which could have just barely missed the foot of the king. Love that they kept the top of the crown white. I've seen some decks where this has been filled in by the artist. Prefer it left open like this. Okay. Look at, there's just so much detail in these cards. I love them both. I love them both. And here we have the little bird in the Ace of Cups. There we go, right there at the bottom. Aren't they beautiful cups? They're very city of Jerusalem, very heavenly city, silver city of the sky. Very chalice for the Eucharist, perhaps. Beautiful. Beautiful cards, both cases. And here we have the Two of Cups, which gives us Jean Dodal. The J is replaced by an I, but in Roman script, there was not a J. Now, the J and the I are the same. At the top, we have PLNFPE. In the floral decoration between the two, are they fish? Are they dragon heads? You decide. And here we go with the Three of Cups. Both beautifully done. Nice that we can see shadow or shading on the interior of the cup, looking like that's the water or the wine level, perhaps. And the Four of Cups. Look at those. Beautiful. Simple. Beautiful. Now, there are no numbers in the cups. Oh, I lied. I lied. So, there was no number for the ace. No number for the ace, right? No number for the 2. There was a number for the 3, but no number for the 4. Let me go back and double check with the Flornoy. Here we have ace, 2, number on the 3, no number on the 4. So that's consistent for these decks. 5 has a number. Beautifully done. I like that they kept this part gold in the Artisan Tarot deck. Here we have the 6, and the order of the numbers is correct. Yeah, VI, VI, that is correct. Now the 7 has no number. Because of no space? I don't think so. Because they're afraid they're going to mess it up? Maybe. Let's move on to the 8. Now see, the 8 has a number. It could have fit somehow. And you'll notice that it's VIII. And the 9, also additive. So you see that these numbers here can vary in size. Now they don't all have to be huge. So it could have fit into the space on the 7 if they'd wanted it to. Lovely. And the 10s. Oh, lovely 10 cards. I love the 10 cards. I love this cup on its side with the little cap looking thing at the top. Love the way that the 10 of cups in most Marseille decks look. Looks. The 10 of cups card looks. Okay, now here we have a title for the Valet de Coupe. We don't get the indication that it's for sale abroad, but we do have the title, Valet de Coupe. This one, the title is not separate from the background, right? It's just printed right over the floor or the ground of the image. We got the front scapula covering up the cup. We've got a hat in the hand, very clear in both decks. Perhaps could be a young person walking in a religious parade, holding a chalice for the priests, maybe an acolyte, maybe a noble's son, or not a son. A daughter would have been dressed differently, I believe. Beautiful. Now you'll notice that this one, we don't see the hand here in the Flornoy deck. They very clearly decided to make this one the fingers of a hand. And I prefer that choice, I think. Maybe. Here's the knight. Here's the knight. So, FPLE Tranger, for sale abroad. And let me bring back that cups card, right? Yeah. Now, maybe FP, okay, no. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember what these initials meant, but let's move on since I don't know. I'm going to move right along and pretend like I didn't say anything. Love the sombrero in both of these knights. Now, doesn't that look like a sombrero to you? Looks like a sombrero to me. Love that the way this is drawn, it makes it much clearer that this is actually part of a saddlebag, maybe. It follows the line of the horse. Whereas here, it's really not clear. Is this something other than something attached to the horse? It's really hard to tell. Love the huge cups on both of these cards. Okay. Reine de Coupe. Here we have the Queen of Cups. Love both of them. Love that this banner is hanging down in front of her face in both. And she can just barely see through this little space here in both. Love that this scepter is colored gold. Like that a little bit better than this. Love that the clothes are colored so that they make more sense in the Artisan Tarot deck. But both of these are just lovely. This hand makes a little bit more sense than this hand, doesn't it? You can see the fingers coming down. Here, these fingers like this are odd, and frankly, I kind of like this better. I like that cubist look to these, that these fingers are somehow coming down around the top. I don't know, in the thumb, like the chalice is somehow like this, if that makes sense. I don't know. Very interesting. This is very normal looking hand to me. The crowns are lovely. Here we have the king. Now, I kind of prefer having the kings this open here at the top rather than colored in, frankly speaking. But I prefer the way that these clothes are drawn. Now, it's not so much the difference in the clothes. I prefer the way the flooring is drawn here, that this gold continues rather than this bit of light blue. Do prefer that a little bit. And I prefer that this looks more clearly like it's a tassel attached to the king's garments, whereas this, it's more difficult to see. Beautiful. But both cards are just beautiful, and I'm glad that I have both. I wouldn't want to trade away one for the other. They both have their individual quirks and individual beauties and individual specialities. Ace of Coins, lovely card. Simple. I like that they've colored in the gray a little bit more here. Although I do like the light blue circle here. So, artistic choices. Everyone has their own flavor. Okay, so here. Fight à Léon par Jean Dodali. Jean Dodali. Yeah, and there's a lot of discussion about what's up with this eye. Is that eye to make it more comfortable for Italian purchasers? Is it because of some other tradition, other way of writing people's names? We just don't know exactly the reason. But you do notice that this is Dodali on both cards, whereas we just saw in the Two of Cups. Where are you, Two of Cups? Just ran away from me. Where are you, my Two of Cups? Where are you? There you are. I had you out. Okay, my deck has gone out of order. Now, here we go. Jean Dodal, Jean Dodali. Different, right? Interesting. Okay, here we have the Three of Coins. I'm sorry. And here we have the Three of Coins. Lovely cards. Beautiful cards. And the Four of Coins. Love the shield in between the four coins on both decks. And you'll notice there are no numbers here, and it continues with no numbers to the 5. Coins aren't difficult to count, right? We can see that immediately. Bang, 5. Frankly, cups are easy to count as well. Don't really need the numbers on the cups either. Love the 6 of coins in all decks. I love this shape, the kind of wheel shape. Not a round wheel, but you could see the flow or movement of the coins in either this direction or in this direction. To me, that's what I see. And here we have the 7. Love the 3 at the top and the 4 on the bottom. We've got the base structure and then the divine structure on top. And we have the 8 of coins. And you'll notice this floral decoration in both cards is a little bit odd, right? It's very, very skinny and makes it look like these two coins, especially here, are floating higher up than these coins down here. These two coins look a little bit more separated in this deck. We can notice it here, but it's even more noticeable, I think, in the Artisan Tarot deck. So is it 2 and 6? Here we have the 9s. Lovely, lovely cards. coins, cards and coins. And you'll notice that the two coins at the top here are differently colored than the rest of the coins. Well, just a moment. No, they're not different. Why do they look... Okay, so they are different in that the black part of the coin is much thicker on the top than they are in the other coins, in both decks. That's an interesting choice, right? I wonder why. That must be in the original. And I wonder how that occurred, if it was deliberate or just another bit of wonkiness. Here we have the tens of coins, lovely cards. Lovely, lovely cards. And the Valet de Denier. And you'll notice that the title for the Valet de Denier is here on the side. Both of them looking a little bit, kind of sweet. Kind of a, look to their faces, the way their head is tilted and the expression on their faces. This coin in the Artisan Tarot deck looks like it's covering up. It's in front of the leg here, right? We don't get that so strongly in the Flornoy deck. In the Flornoy, what do you think? Is this a beard around the page? Doesn't look like a beard so much here. It looks like a collar and hair. But because it's all the same color, does this look like the page of Denier has a beard in the Flornoy deck? What do you think? Here we go with the Chevalier de Denier, the Knight of Coins, a much simpler looking horse, right? We've got the coin floating up in the air, both for sale abroad. Lovely. Like that they, in Artisan Tarot's deck, that they carried the green color of the stirrup up into the seat, whereas here we don't get that. There's this white bit, which is a little bit more difficult to understand what you're seeing. Like that they also colored the feet of the horse, the hooves, the shoes or hooves of the horse, the same color here, whereas here we've got this white one just kind of appearing out of nowhere. Here we have the Reine de Denier, beautiful ladies, unhappy looking ladies. The clothes in this deck, the clothes of the queen in this deck are much more sensible, easy to understand, whereas the clothes for the queen in the Flornoy deck are a little more difficult to understand. What is this light blue, for example? Now, what is this bit here? But they're both beautiful cards. Beautiful, beautiful images. And here we have the king, Roi de Denier. Look at him looking off to the side with this thing sticking out of his beautiful chapeau. Both beautiful. Like the green shoes. Prefer the green shoes to the white shoes. I would have liked if they had kept the different colored hose in the Artisan Tarot deck. I must admit that. I prefer the different colored hose. But, okay, don't misunderstand me. Hose, H-O-S-E, hose, the thing that you put on your legs. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the last suit, the suit of swords. Ace of Swords, both beautiful, lovely, absolutely lovely. And here we have the Two of Swords, beautiful, lovely. Interesting. The Three of Swords, here we have numbers appearing again. Love the sword coming up the center is red. And I like that there's this red knob to the bottom of the hilt here, whereas this one kept the same gold color. I like that touch. It's a beautiful touch of elegance to me. Here's the 4. We've got a number on the 4. And you'll notice that the swords here, especially in the Flornoy, are very, very thin, whereas they're more filled in the Artisan Tarot deck. Although they're not uniform. They're not trying to make them look exactly the same, which I'm grateful for. I like that very obviously hand-drawn feel. Here's the 5, again with a red sword. Again, here we've got the red little addition to the hilt of the sword, the end of the sword, and here we do not. Here, it's difficult even to see the full end of the sword, whereas it's clear here. Here we have the 6. Now here we go again. The 6s are wonky, right? Instead of VI, they're IV. Here is the 7, also wonky. And the red dot at the end of the hilt in the Artisan Tarot deck is lovely. I love that addition. I'm glad that they carried it through. The 8 is written correctly. VIII. Now, what is 9 going to be? Let's take a look at 9. And 9 is written correctly. Interesting. Look at this. We have VII, and then there's a little bit of a gap before the next 2 I's in this one. I wonder if that's part of the original. Flornoy apparently unified that spacing in his deck, whereas they did not. Now, also notice this extra line here coming down in the Flornoy deck, which I assume must be part of the original and not in the Artisan Tarot deck. And again, the swords here are very, very thin. Here they are thickened up. Okay. Okay, I don't see any odd number of sword ends like we got that odd number of wand ends in the Flornoy deck. And was it the 9? Yes, it was the 9. And here we have the 2 10s. Lovely, beautifully done. I liked this broken up sword, frankly. It's nice that it's having one that the sword is nice and straight. That's fine. But I like this broken upness of this sword, to tell you the truth. So there are aspects of the sword suit that I prefer in the Flornoy over the Artisan Tarot. Although I do like, again, I like the red knobs at the ends of the swords in the Artisan Tarot deck. So, you know, it's all up to individual taste. Not everybody is going to be able to match everybody's taste. Here we have the Valet de Paix, beautifully done, lovely. This scabbard is easier to see, which is nice. It's easier to see that this is all one piece and that it's different from the clothes, whereas here it goes up and then it kind of melds in with this pinkish bit of clothes here. It's difficult to separate those two out. Here we have a little white bit down here, and here we have a little navy bit. I kind of like the white bit there. Gives it a little bit more emphasis. But, you know, that's not that important, I guess, especially for a sword suit. Okay, moving on to the Knight, Chevalier de Paix, for sale abroad. And again, we're back to a very, very elaborately dressed and knight and an elaborately decorated horse. Beautiful, beautiful cards. Now, we have the hooves of this horse easy to see. The hooves on this horse are a little bit more difficult because they are different. You know? But they're beautiful. Both are beautiful. I love both. I love the face on the épée. On the epaulette, I mean. I like that these ears are colored in to match the rest of the horse, whereas these white ears on the horse are easy to miss. And the Reine de Paix, the Queen of Wands. Hands both make similar sense, or similar lack of sense. Okay, okay. So there are bits I like I like this navy band here on top of the bodice for the Flornoy deck. I'm missing that here, but the rest of the clothes make more sense in the Artisan Tarot deck. So there you go. She's got a little blue knobby at the end of her sword. Now, the knight had a gold bit to a red larger knob. What about the page? The page had green with a gold and a gray bit knob at the end, similar to the Queen. Now, the Queen and the Page's swords are similar, although I think this is that dark gray and this is green here on the hilt. Okay, so moving on to the King. What kind of a hilt do we have for the King? We have that gray color with a gold large ball and a small decoration at the end. Both kings looking very young, right? Let me try and straighten those out for you. Beautiful cards. Okay, I have to admit it. I like the epaulets on this king more than on this king. I like the red. I like that the lines are a little bit more refined. Makes a little bit more sense. I prefer the hat on this king to this one as well. Beautifully done. These decks are both absolutely beautifully done. So that's what the decks look like. And here's that last card thing. Thank you for your purchase from Artisan Tarot. Set that aside. I'm going to do a shuffle and a quick 3-card draw and see what we get, so that you can see how beautifully this deck shuffles. The cardstock on all Artisan Tarot decks is thin, but has a wonderful core, so they're sturdy and flexible, and they shuffle beautifully. So let me go through my shuffle. If you would like to skip ahead, feel free to skip ahead. What would we benefit from knowing today? That is the question I'm going to give us. What would we benefit from knowing today? For me now, and for you when you are watching this, what would we benefit from knowing today? Riffle shuffle. Just like a casino dealer, the cards are that easy. Oops, except for my poor technique to shuffle. Okay, see, tucking and shuffling doesn't always work for me. Let me shuffle and then comment on it. Here we go, another shuffle. So easy to shuffle, so smooth. And overhanding is also very easy. Bridging is very easy. What would we benefit from hearing or knowing today? What would we benefit from knowing today? Now, they are slippery cards, so you gotta keep your thumb on them. Hold them down. What would we benefit from knowing today? What would we benefit from knowing today? One. Two. Oh, so wonderful. You hear that bridge, right? Oh, it's just divine to shuffle. What would we benefit from knowing today? What would we benefit from knowing today? Oops, okay. Didn't keep the pressure on my thumb consistent enough. That card apparently wanted to be placed in a different position. What would we benefit from knowing today? What would we benefit from knowing today? 3-card draw. Okay, last overhand shuffle. What would we benefit from knowing today? Whoops. Okay, so put all of these on top. So, cut the cards and draw. What would we benefit from knowing today? Ooh, playfulness. Oh, me. Okay, so for me, what is this saying? For me, I tend to, especially when I'm reading upright, read the devil as being the material realm. It's like the playfulness. It could, in Rider-Waite Smith decks, the devil can be much more negative. It could be addiction and being bound to one's desires or people, or unable to break free of something. For me, the devil in Tarot de Marseille is much more of a physically manifested spirit. It's spirit here enjoying the physical realm. It's the descent of Lucifer into the world, and not in the I'm going to make sure that all humans go to hell kind of thing, but the descent from heaven into the material realm to enjoy material existence. So the playfulness, perhaps sexuality, perhaps the need to balance things, balance powers in the physical realm as well. But then we come to the hanged one, which could be pause. It could be the need to reevaluate. So what I'm getting is, if I'm going to, well, let's see. I'm going to read from this direction this way, because these figures are all facing forward. This figure is facing forward. The only figure that's actually facing in a direction is the Queen of Coins. So the Queen of Coins is the one who is able to enjoy their material wealth, their abundance, the one who is able to enjoy what they have and to be the words are just not coming to me right now. Being able to be the appreciator of the material, but also the one able to design the material, to make a beautiful environment, to enjoy the beauty of the environment, and to create a beautiful environment, and to create a home, and to create a work environment that is beautiful and is one of abundance and one of enjoyment. So she wants to take a pause, take a break, and really enjoy what is here. That's what I'm getting from this, because there might be a little bit of work or effort on her part sometimes. And right now, we want to remind the Queen of Coins in all of us, whether we are male presenting, female presenting, trans presenting, or something else. We all have an inner Queen of Coin. And that Queen of Coin in all of us wants to take a break. Take a break from trying to make things happen and trying to arrange things so that they're beautiful, and enjoy what is. Enjoy the material realm. I think that's what this is trying to tell us right now, to enjoy. Take a pause, take a break, enjoy what is and what we're doing, and find a playful way of interacting with what is around. Yeah? Be willing to stick our tongues out at things that are tongue stick out worthy. So friends, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of this deck? What do you think of this reading? Let me know. Hit the like button if you're still here and you enjoyed this walkthrough, if you enjoyed seeing this deck. Subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed. I usually upload at least 2 videos or more a week, and I'll be doing more in July, just a hint. And if you're interested in practicing with Tarot de Marseille, there will be a link below so that you can join the group on Facebook. And share this. Copy the link to this video and share this with people who you think might get benefit from it. And comment below. I would really love to hear from you. I'd like to hear what you think of the deck, the reading, everything, anything. And again, there will be a link for you to go look at, and if you want, purchase this deck from Artisan Tarot. I highly recommend it. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.